So we look at money addictions. Gambling versus saving and investing the amount you gamble. So for example, that example would be, you know, a person who buys $20 worth of Pick Six or whatever, you know, the Megabucks lottery every week. Okay, you're like throwing 20 bucks away. So why throw 20 bucks away? Put it in something that'll grow it. However slowly. You know, because when you do the math on what 20 bucks a week is for 52 weeks, that's still a fair piece of change. Chasing the next big deal. So internet day trading and the underground economy. I was talking with somebody today who was, you know, when you're a kid in high school, what do you know, right? So, yeah, he was talking about, you know, dealing in a local high school, and that was, you know, an ounce and a half of weed. Nothing, right? But it seemed like big. I can take my $35 investment and, you know, break it up into quarters and nickels, and no. That didn't work, right? So, funny money goes funny. So, overspending, retail therapy, and consumption, more retail therapy. So, retail therapy, if you're not familiar with the concept of the practice, you know, the gem show's coming up. Do I need more sparkly crystal things? And, you know, I used to spend like $500 a weekend. No, no more. More retail therapy. I feel bad and I need to feel powerful, so I'll buy more stuff. CDs, books. So chronic debt, living paycheck to paycheck. And self-induced poverty, that is living large but no money skills for living long term. There are what we call structurally induced poverty. So basically, aid to families with dependent children and temporary aid to needy families, basically welfare or unemployment. The idea is not necessarily to teach you money skills, but to keep you dependent on the system. Maybe I should talk about a solution, but the solution is illegal. I am not going to encourage you to break the law, but I'm going to give you a solution, right? This solution has already been applied, so I'm not necessarily telling you to do this, but I'm just illustrating the principle of how welfare is structured to keep you down, right? So, I call this Mississippi Mondragon. This is M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Mondragon. All right, so it's called Mississippi Mondragon because Mondragon is a corporation that's actually a cooperative business. I've been actually trying to get them to do it at Lane, but they think I'm crazy. But I actually don't do anything or teach anything unless I know that it works in the real world first, before I tell you about it. And just let you know the pitfalls. All right, so Mondragon is a corporation in Basque, Spain, that's still up and running. And here's how it worked. You had 13 guys started manufacturing things that people need to buy, consumer products. Stoves, refrigerators, and stuff like that, okay? So the first thing they needed was capital to buy stuff, buy raw materials, right? So they started a bank. Well, how do you start a bank? What if you want to start your own bank? Banks come from somewhere. So people actually have started banks in this community. What used to be Oregon or OUR Credit Union, which is now West Credit Union or something like that. They got absorbed. People in the community started their own bank because banks weren't being responsive to people of low income. Okay, so these folks started a bank. Then, and it was a cooperative business, meaning they all owned it and owned the shares. They all owned the bank and worked in the bank. So it's a cooperative. So the Mondragon Cooperatives started a bank. Then they needed to start a technical school. Like Lane Community College used to be a technical school. So they needed a school to teach people not only how to manufacture the stoves and stuff, but also how to work in the bank if they needed to work in the bank. And also how do you work with people in a cooperative business. People got hurt on the job. So they created a hospital. And the hospital, of course, needs an insurance company. And then so on and so on. So what I observed was here at Lane Community College, you need a store to sell your stuff, right? Oh, you need computers to keep track of all this stuff. So you manufacture your own computers. And that becomes another part of the co-op. So Mondragon is about 170 interlocking co-ops like this, organized in finance, distribution, and manufacturing. All right? No person can make more than 3 times the lowest person, and the highest paid person in the system is a doctor in the hospital who makes about $60,000 US, which may be low wages for a doctor, but consider this. Why doctors have to make so much money in this country is they have liability insurance. If the cooperative is paying your liability insurance and you're self-insured, if you're a member of the cooperative, your medical is covered, your liability is covered, your car insurance is covered, so therefore lower costs. Right, you don't have student loans because the cooperative is paying you to go to school. Textbooks, free or reduced because it's the co-op. Now, this is still going. They make 10 billion euros a year. There are actually co-ops like built along these lines in the United States, making furniture or whatever. All right? So, before I can tell you about Mississippi Mondragon, I had to tell you about Mondragon first. Now, there's nothing to stop us from doing this here except in our heads, because this is not what, if you go to cooperative education or business development center, they don't teach you how to do this. Right? They teach you the conventional capitalist model, which, okay, that works if that's all you want to do. So, people on welfare are making $300 a month on welfare. On welfare, you can't have a savings account. It's illegal. Practically can't have a car. All right, and you might get, so $300 cash plus food stamps, and then you might have to work a minimum wage job or 5 to supplement this.
Don't forget your transfer housing.
Right.
It's not included in money.
Right. Right. So here's what these folks did, and it was illegal, and I told you that already up front. Right? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm just going to use this as a model. Let's say that everybody puts in 10% of their check. So $300, and they make a microloan. That's the illegal part. You can't make an investment with your welfare check to start a business. And here's what they did. They did microloans. So whatever kind of business worked in rural Mississippi, so it's either food or cleaning, right? So the illegal part was starting a business. In a year, each one of those businesses were successful enough that they were all off welfare in a year. 60 Minutes reported it as a case of welfare fraud, which I already told you was illegal. That's not the issue. The issue is, how come welfare doesn't teach you how to be entrepreneurial? Start your own business. Learn how your own money skills. Instead of working for minimum wage, leaving your kids alone, and not making enough to make ends meet. What's wrong with being entrepreneurial? I thought that's like the American way. You'd think Republicans would be down with that. Small business creation, yada, yada, yada. All right? So my thing is, why aren't we teaching students how to do this? Not the illegal part. Okay, not just working for people, working to be entrepreneurial. But don't listen to me, I'm crazy, right? Just real world stuff. So the point being then, there's structurally induced poverty and induced poverty. So looking with those, taking them one by one. So if you were gambling versus saving, investing the amount you gamble, if you need a thrill, spend money you have to throw away. You know, and if you don't have money to throw away, don't gamble, or take that money that you would be gambling and put it towards something that will grow. So when we look at chasing the next big deal, internet day trading, underground economy, some of the examples we've seen of that are things like video poker. So if people talk about wealth, so this is coming from a dictionary where wealth is defined as a great quantity of money or valuable possessions, riches, the condition of being rich, affluence, profusion of or abundance, all goods and resources having economic value. Wealth, from a more cross-cultural view, includes family, spiritual status, spiritual wisdom or knowledge, social influence, privilege, information access, and cultural information access. So there can be a difference between being rich and wealthy. The rich have lots of money. The wealthy, in addition to having money, also have power, access, and knowledge that multiplies their wealth. I remember having this argument with hip-hop fans of Jay-Z. Oh, well, he's wealthy. No, he's not. I don't care if he owns the net and, shares in Budweiser. He might have Obama's ear, but did he have Bush's? Who do you think has the president's ear, Jay-Z or Bill Gates? Right, so wealthy. What does that mean? So in a cross-cultural context, wealth, on the question of wealth, a true Apache? Oh, the true Apache sees wealth as your family. That's wealth. Your loved ones that are still alive, not what you have, but who you have. That's what's wealth. We don't look for material things. I mean, I'm glad to have the clothes I have, the jewelry I have, but I'd be happy so long as my family, my relatives are still living. So poverty, on the other hand, is an absence of wealth, often accompanied by lack of power and often reinforced by a sense of learned helplessness. Now, what learned helplessness is, so when you talk about learned helplessness, what I'm suggesting to you is that helplessness is taught, and we often absorb the lesson. So they're individuals who are made to feel inadequate and unable to master certain tasks, and they become actually unable to perform those tasks and other tasks that are objectively within their grasp, and if they basically had, the knowledge that they're supposed to have. Well, part of the challenge with that is if you aren't told that you have the skill and made to feel like you don't have the skill, then even if you might have the skill, you're not going to try and use it. So this is part of what learned helplessness is. So it's not just that you failed to absorb the lesson, you were also taught to be helpless and be dependent, too. And you believe from someone who trusted you and you believed them.
Do you have an example of something like that?
Sure. Say again?
My sister learned helplessness. Example from my my family standpoint. She's on welfare. The family aids her to keep in this position. They don't push her to a means of bettering herself. Going to school, I gave her the opportunity, trying to tell her that she has these things available to her, yet she's learned that she's helpless, and so now she feels inadequate, that she can't do any of these things because she's been taught for years upon years that this is the situation that she is to be in. Is on welfare, not go to school, not have a career. She will be on the system for the rest of her life.
I have other examples too. I mean, because that works. That's one, but that doesn't necessarily give you the way out. And I like ways out. So as an example, well, that Mississippi Mondragon project, which again was essentially secret among black people. So that's how we knew about it, because I worked with some of the people that worked with some of the people that witnessed that, and then could refer me to the 60 Minutes thing. So as an example, learned helplessness.